I'm Jerry from Jerry's Landscape. We do irrigation, tree removal, landscaping. We pretty much do it all. You know, I can landscape the heck out of a property. That's never really been a problem for me. It's gotta go. I've had a tough time with accounting, with my bookkeeping, but then I came up with this amazing system that has really been a game changer for me. This side of the dash here, this is all the invoices. This side of the dash is gonna be expenses. Then I've got any miscellaneous receipts or anything like that that goes in the back seat. Then of course anything tax related, you know, I don't even know what half that stuff is, but anything from ERS, that's gonna go right here on the passenger side floorboard. I've even got a place for customer complaints. right out here. I'm kidding. Actually, it's not really the best to even open the windows at all. Blow everything around. Is it a perfect system? No. I can't use the defrost in my truck, which sucks. You know, having passengers, that doesn't always work out so well. But it's a small price to pay. We're meticulous. Every transaction matters, period. Okay, I mean, the system, that's what I love about it. It's virtually foolproof. Well,
Get ready to enter the Drive Time Show.
We started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, now we here.
We started from the bottom, now we're on the top. Teaching you the systems to get what we got. Colin Dixon's on the hooks, I break down the books. Z's bringing some wisdom and the good looks. As the father of five, that's why I'm alive. So if you see my wife and kids, please tell them hi. It's the CNC up on your radio. And now 3, 2, 1, here we go.
We started from the bottom, now we here.
Folks, is it possible to build an organization without being organized? Is it possible? Think about it. Is it possible to build an organization without being organized? And here to talk about scaling an organization is the founder of BunkyLife.com, David Frazier. Welcome onto the Thrive Time Show. How are you, sir?
I'm doing amazing. I'm just feeling great, and yeah, happy to be here.
Now, I'm not gonna attack any of our listeners. I'm just gonna bring up an idea. Tread lightly, walk it on the frozen ice. It might not be thick enough to walk on, but this is the thing. I have found that organized and diligent people have success, and disorganized and lazy people don't have success. So what I want to do is walk people through what you need to do to become an organized person. Therefore, you can build an organization. So I'm going to walk people through 5 action steps they all need to take to build an organization and to become an organized person en route to building an organization. And feel free to follow up on any other tips you might want to give the listeners. But I'm going to focus on 5 today.
Sure.
But you got to have a to-do list. You have to have, and I'm not going to argue with you folks whether you want to have it on your phone or print it out. I like to print it out. I have a digital copy, but I print it out. Therefore, when I check my to-do list, I'm not being interrupted every time with a text message or an email or that sort of thing. So I think it's I know it's very important to have a to-do list. And on part 2 of today's show, we're going to get into more time management moves. But can you talk about that, the importance of having a to-do list on a fundamental basis? Because I think a lot of entrepreneurs try to get through their day without one.
I just think for me personally, I'll tend to not prioritize things well if I don't have it written out. And I'll tend to just kind of work on what's ever easiest and most urgent. And sometimes what's most urgent is actually the least important thing on your list of things to do. And if you try to just mentally file it away, then your brain's chewing on it. It's just a big waste of time. If you just get it out of your brain onto the paper, cross things off. There's also this really great dopamine hit when you cross something off your list. It's done. There's a couple people on our team, especially, that just love crossing things off lists. It's like what they get up in the morning for. And there's a win there. You get those little micro wins throughout the day as you do little things and cross them off your list. So why deprive yourself of that? Why put that load on your brain? Because you're going to forget stuff. It's going to be a lack of priorities and in the right order. But if you put it on the list, it gets done, it gets crossed off, and you can celebrate.
I'm going to pull up my to-do list here to make this a little less theoretical, to make it more real. This is my to-do list for today. And some folks might say, well, your list is awesome. And some might say, your list is terrible, but here's my list. Okay. So we need to upload all of the interviews, line 751, from the Flyover Conservatives show, all the interviews we did from Las Vegas onto our platform. Second, I need to call a guy about a praise and worship band. I want to hire this guy to perform at one of our events. We'll see if he wants to do it. Second, or the third item there, I need to make sure we drop off $1 gift cards to anybody who leaves a review at the bunkie or the tiny home that we purchased from you that's in the mall. And every time somebody comes in to the bunkie, I want to give them a $1 haircut as a thank you. I also need to get a hold of a guy named Joseph Z. I want to book on our show. I need to get a hold of Jonathan Kahn to have him speak at one of our events. There's a lot of things I need to do. And this list right here might not be exciting for anybody out there. That's okay. But for me, this is mission critical stuff. It has to happen. And I think that, if you put a gun to my head and said, name off the 22 things on your list today, I don't know what they are. I did make the list. I did prioritize it, but I don't know what that list is. So we got to have that to-do list. Now, the second act, this is big stuff here. You want to have a linear workflow. And someone says, I don't know what that is. It's vague. It's an idea. I've heard it before. I don't know what a workflow is. I'm having a hard time picturing that. So I'm going to pull this up here, folks. So when we do our in-person business conferences, one of the things I teach at scale is how to build a workflow. And most people don't have a workflow, so it's hard to know what one looks like. You've probably never seen one. So I'm going to show people some examples of workflows that really do well. And perhaps this will help you folks get some clarity as to what a workflow should look like. So a workflow is this. This is a workflow. So this is an entire diagram of how the business works from left to right. Okay. So if you ran an elephant in the room store, I would highly recommend everybody out there does not buy an elephant in the room franchise from me, because those are very expensive to open. And this just in, if you're cutting haircuts for $40 and you're making an $8 profit per haircut, you got to do a lot of haircuts to pay for that $350,000 build out. So it's a business that I would only recommend an experienced operator who has experience owning in-person retail businesses that require managing 40 plus staff members to do it. It's a lot like running a McDonald's or something. So I would just encourage people, unless you have that extra spare income sitting around and you don't mind sewing that into the creation of one of these, I would recommend you don't look at that. But if you did open a location, the red is what the franchisee is supposed to do, and the blue is what we do corporately. So the red, the local franchisee needs to get Google reviews. And then we need to do Valpak mailers. We need to do search engine optimization. We need to do Facebook advertising. We need to call the former customers. We need to do the retargeting ads. And then they as the franchise owner, they need to put out those $1 signs every day. Google reviews, put out the signs every day. Then the leads come into our website. That's the next step. Then we have to text the leads, call the leads, record the calls, follow a script, book the appointment. Then we get into what you need to do if you're a franchise owner. Now you need to provide the $1 first haircut. Now you need to sign people up for the membership. Now you need to go over the one sheet. Now you need to do the weekly job interviews and the job posts. Now you need to do the ongoing training. And it's all laid out here so that it's out of my head and it's scalable for somebody else. Now, a franchise that I would highly recommend that people would look at is Tip Top Canine. This is a brand I've helped to grow from one location to over a dozen locations, and the system has really been nailed down. So if you're out there today and you want to own a dog training business or create time freedom by owning your own business, my goal is to get you to $20,000 a month of gross revenue as soon as possible. But again, David, recapping, if you're the local owner, you need to get Google reviews. You need to do what's called the Dream 100, where you're marketing to dog groomers and places that are likely to refer customers to a dog trainer. Then we need to do the search engine. Then we need to run the ads. Then we need to do retargeting. Then the leads come in. They go to a landing page. We provide a pre-written email, pre-written text, inbound script. We follow every time the calls are recorded. We book an appointment. Boom. Then you, as the local person, you need to provide the $1 lesson. You need to, and all these things need to happen because this is what a workflow looks like. Another example of a workflow, trying to give you a few back to back to back. This is one for what I do as a business consultant, and this workflow might terrify some people, but it's real. Okay. A little artistic because that's the way I roll. Okay. My workflow, we do search engine articles. I write books that people buy. I do retargeting ads. We do Facebook ads. I'm on radio shows and interviews constantly. We do a conference. All that stuff, it generates what we would call a hot lead, or somebody who says, you know what? I might be a good fit for what you guys do. Then we have to text and email that person. Then we have to call them. And then we follow a whole workflow here. And then that turns into a 13-point assessment with me. And within 72 hours, I want to decide if they're a good fit or not. If they are a good fit, we give them a business plan. We want to have them come to an in-person workshop, and that's what we do. And then every single morning, I answer questions from our team. And that's what these waves are in the morning. Every morning, I answer questions from our team related to our clients. And that's how we do it. And I think a lot of people don't have a workflow. I don't know what percentage of people, David, have a workflow, but I think a lot of business owners have a system that's in their mind and nobody else can understand it. Can you talk about the importance of having a blueprint to build your bunkies and having a workflow to run your business?
So having seen this, for the audio owning listeners, there's a really good graphical representation of all things Clay just described auditorily. And they say that some people are visual learners and some people are kinesthetic learners. I think everybody's a visual learner when it comes right down to it. And you see that diagram, it's like, yeah, that makes sense. And up until if you can't diagram your business out, that's an exercise that I'm going to do as soon as this call's over, actually, because we don't have that exact thing graphically written out. And I think just being able to lay it out, show somebody a picture, it's super important, right? So I'm commenting more on just the fact that it's laid out visually, I think is super key. But yeah, just having a real clear cut of like, hey, this is where people come in. This is what happens to them. This is what basically it's like a little flow, and it makes sense, and it's visual. I think those are all super helpful just to get an idea of like what is the purpose of my spot in the greater machine. If you're an employee, or if you're supplying something to the business, you can understand what your part in that larger picture is. It's just very easily by looking at it.
And I encourage everybody out there, you want to create, like, to your point, you want to have a visual representation of what you do. So I'm going to pull this up here. I want people to see this. If you go to thrivetimeshow.com/millionaire, folks, you can download my newest book, How to Become Sustainably Rich, and you can follow right along. And a lot of our listeners tell me, they say, Clay, I do it every time. Every time you guys do a show, I go to that page, I read that page, and it helps me kind of understand what I read better. And I try to put a lot of visuals in my books so that people can quickly mentally grasp the idea that we're trying to communicate. So I'm going to go to page 138, and hopefully this makes a lot of sense for you. I'm going to page 138. Feeling the flow, folks. Scrolling down. Here we go. Feeling the flow. Working it. Bend the knees. Bend the knees. A lot of pressure. Kind of rise above it. Pay the quarter. Get on the carousel. Here we go. Feeling the flow. Page 135. No, we're not there. Page 136. Not there. Page 137. Not there. Page 138. We're there. Here we go. Uh-oh. You must be organized to build an organization. Now, the cartoon picture that I drew here shows a man who walks into his garage. I call these claymations. They're artwork that I put together that kind of walks you through what I'm trying to communicate. And you see a guy who has an automotive repair shop, and he can't find his screwdriver because his automotive repair shop is in perpetual disarray. And I would tell people, you got to make a place for everything. And you wouldn't believe how often when I could consult or coach businesses that they don't have an organization system in their automotive repair shop. No one knows where to find anything, and it just utter chaos. So again, I'm walking you through what you got to do here, folks, and I'm zooming in so you can really focus on it. You got to create a linear workflow. We just talked about that. Oh, you got to put your goals on some kind of a whiteboard where everybody could see it. Okay. So you want to have it where everybody who works for you understands what you're trying to do. So everybody who works for you needs to understand what you're trying to do. This is like a to-do list for the company. You got to do this. Now, also, you got to have a whiteboard, and a lot of people don't. And I find they have little yellow pads where they keep a note, and then no one quite understands what they're doing, and you got to do that. Now, number 4, you got to write down how many sales per day you need to have to achieve your financial goals. So I'm going to pick on the dog training business for a second and the haircut business. So I'm going to pull this up here. So now, by the way, folks, this is going to blow your mind. If you're looking to buy a franchise to cut hair, this is a Floyd's franchising. They are a competitor of Elephant in the Room. I'm sure they do a fine job. I don't want people to see this, though. If you wanted to buy a Floyd's franchise today, if you said, I want to buy a Floyd's franchise, I'm thinking about it. They're saying right now that the cost to build one is between $399,000 and $762,000 to open one. Wow. I mean, that is a massive expense for most people. Most people that I know could not afford to do that. That's why I tell people, I mean, you got to be, they want you to have a net worth of at least $1.5 million before they will allow you to buy Floyd's franchise. That's some expensive stuff. A lot of people can't hang with that conversation. But if you bought an elephant in the room, this is how it works. Every time we cut someone's hair, we try to make a profit of 20%. So we're making per haircut, okay? It's going to be, average haircut's $40. Let's look at this. And we're going to make a profit of 20%. So we're making $8. And we're doing 4,000 haircuts a month. And that's about the profit that you want to spit out per month if you're operating efficiently and in a healthy manner. And David, I mean, there's no emotion to that. That's just the reality of it. And I think a lot of wonderful, well-intentioned business owners, they haven't taken the time needed to create their goals in a way where they've thought about the math. And so therefore, they're always just trying to sell more. Could you maybe talk about the dangers of not quantifying what kind of sales that you actually need to do to hit your goals?
So what you'll just be on an emotional roller coaster if you don't have some serious numbers to compare and contrast against. So if you're just kind of saying, I need more, well, what does more look like? There's just a never ending chasm of more. You could be doing, way better numbers. But if you don't have a real like goal, then you're not going to know what more looks like. You're not going to know when to stop. So you could just burn yourself out, always trying to achieve more. It's like running and then the horizon's in front of you and you keep running. I'm going to run until I reach the horizon. That's like what more's like. You're never going to reach the horizon. It's always going to keep going. So that's one thing if you're a driven personality. On the flip side of that, if you're kind of lazy, like it's really easy to just say, oh yeah, we're just trying to, get by kind of thing, but there's no measurement. And you don't know what your break-even point is. That's like the most important number to know is how many do we need to sell to keep the lights on every day or every week or every month. If you don't know that number, you could be really far behind and think you're fine until the lights actually turn off.
Now, this is something to think about here for a second, folks. Again, as we're talking about being organized en route to building an organization, you want to figure out how many no's you need per day to get a yes. So I'm going to use an example of the Bunky Life product right now. This is a real thing that's happening right now. For anybody out there who listens to this show, you've heard about this discussion. But I have a client of mine, a wonderful client of mine called Outside Inc., and what they do is they do irrigation systems. They do landscaping. They do a lot of really neat work. I'm going to show you some examples of the stuff they do here. This is they built this for me. They built a tiki hut in my office. They also built a waterfall for me. They put in irrigation systems for people. They do sprinkler systems. This is the tiki hut they built for me again. This is the pond they built for me again, different angle. They put in these irrigation systems. This is what they do. This is what they do. And I went to them and I said, hey, I think the people of Tulsa would probably love to buy a Bunky Life product. I think they would. I don't know. I don't know the number though, David. I don't know, what percentage of mall dwellers want to buy a Bunky Life. I don't know, but I can tell you this. I know in the month of December, almost every person in Tulsa goes to the mall one time. So I know about 1 million people are going to go there one time. And so I told Paul Solons, I said, let's get a Bunky in the mall. And so what we do is we tell people, hey, if you'll do a tour of the Bunky, you're entered in for a chance to win a Bunky or a flat screen TV. So all you got to do is take a tour. And if you leave us a review, then you have another chance to win a Bunky. You leave a review about the craftsmanship, and that's what we're doing. And we're averaging right now about 30 reviews a day from people that are coming in, and we're averaging about 150 no's per day. And I know this, David, because I have the people in the store. I say every time you ask for someone to give them a tour, and they say no, please track it. It's on your clipboard. You go, hey, would you like a tour? No. Great. We'll check it. Okay. Hey, would you like a tour? No. Hey, sir, would you like a tour? No. Next guy. Hey, would you, I think folks, you would like a tour. Nope. Step right up, folks, do a tour. No. Step right up. No. And you track and you go, okay, we got 150 no's yesterday. We had 30 successful tours. Of those 30 tours, we got 20 something reviews. Great. And we track that stuff. And if we don't track the number of no's needed to get a yes, then your success will just be a guess. Let me try again. If you don't track the number of no's needed to get a yes, then success will always just be a guess. So now, David, after having done this for, I think, 8 days now, I know pretty much we have to get about 200 no's a day to get about 25 tours a day. So it's about 1 tour per 10 no's. And that's kind of the ratio. Could you talk about that a little bit, though? Because as you've grown bunkielife.com, you have a certain momentum to it now, and maybe you're starting to get a lot more word of mouth, and people are starting to tell their friends, and it's starting to grow. But for someone out there who's starting something, figuring out how many no's you need to have a yes could be a daunting task. I'd love to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, so that's some. I can remember back to the day when we had tons of people coming, or it felt like tons of people coming. Like I'd have 10 people show up this week to see the bunkies, and I was kicking myself. Well, we only sold 1 or 2, and I thought that's terrible, right? Why aren't all of them buying a bunkie, right? They drove all this way. But what I've learned over the years is that the nature of the beast is like, most people say no. Most people don't marry you. Most people are not going to buy your product. That's just unfortunately the way life works. Most seeds just fall on the ground and die, right? But out of one seed grows 30, 60, and 90 fold results. So, for example, this Saturday we had our 5th annual barbecue. We've run this barbecue 5 times. It used to be at my house. Now it's at the Bunkie Life factory, and we would sell 1, 2, 3 bunkies, put on this huge party, and last year, like I think 400 people showed up. This year was like 450. And so this is the first year where we had our crap together. We had a flyer. When you showed up, there was a flyer that we did everything right, and we learned every time. And on the 5th year, we finally got something like 30 people to buy out of the 300 or 450 people that came, right? So it's still less than 1 in 10. And these are people that know us, like us, ate our burger, saw the factory, shook hands with us. So even with all that momentum, we've been doing this in Ontario for like 7 years now. Everybody knows us. There have been fans following us on our Instagram for like sometimes 4 or 5 years. Even with that, it's still less than 1 in 10 people buying. So if you're out there and you're thinking, well, why aren't more people buying it? I would just you got to lower your expectations, lower your bar, and just realize that you got to get probably realistically 10 to 20 no's to even think about getting a yes.
Now, on to part 2 of today's show, I'm going to introduce the listeners to a franchise owner of Tip Top Canine by the name of Adam Stockdahl. He and his wife, Kat, they diligently follow the workflow that we've built at Tip Top Canine. I mean, every week these guys get Google reviews, they get video reviews. Every single week they market to their Dream 100, and their business is booming so much so they're actually larger now. So the franchise location is actually larger now than the mothership home location. So the company that gave birth to them, the home location that started the whole thing, is actually now not as big as one of the locations. And so it's because they're very diligent people, and Dallas is a big market area, and they're starting to have massive success there. And I just want to celebrate those guys because they are diligent. Every single day, they're very diligent. They're organized, and they've chosen to implement the things that they learn on this podcast and through the weekly coaching that we provide for them. David, I'd love to get your final thoughts on this. For anybody out there who has a car that's crazy disorganized, they've got cups in there, they've got mugs in there, they've got trash in there, they got an office that's got trash everywhere, and they're just a disorganized person up to this point. They've always been disorganized. Their garage is disorganized. Their car is disorganized. They have been a disorganized person, and they want to become an organized person because they know they need to do that en route to becoming success. What maybe encouragement would you have for the people out there who are wanting to get organized and disciplined and focused?
I mean, that's me. You're describing me. I'm disorganized myself naturally, but if that's the reality of where you're coming from, don't let it get you down. You've got to rise above it. You got to figure out a way to overcome that about you, because everyone's born with strengths and weaknesses. Usually the strength of disorganization is creativity, and the weakness is that you can't find your keys. So if that's you just got to work on it to the point where it's not a complete distraction and destroying your life, like it could have been for me if I didn't have organized people to help me, like my wife and people around me. So, you're probably never going to be Martha Stewart, but if you could just sand off that rough edge, it'll go a long way. That's my first bit of advice. And my second advice is get a small win when it comes to organization. If you can just clear off like that desk and celebrate that and keep it clean for like a few days, and then expand the organization from there. That's how I do little wins like that. It's just get one area clear, expand on it, and then next thing you know, you've got a clean office, and then you can expand that to now you got a clean car, and you can kind of build up from there. Just get one area really, really organized and clean, even if it's just like the square foot, like make your bed in the morning, right? Get your bed organized in the morning, and you can expand it from there. That's my one tip as a person who personally struggles with like space organization myself.
Well, brother, I appreciate you for carving out time for us. And I want to give you an opportunity to mention Bunky Life and what you guys do there. So again, folks, if we go to bunkylife.com, bunkylife.com, there you can find the Bunky Life products. It's like a bolt-on bedroom, folks. It's like a tiny home you can add on to your property. It's a great way to create some additional space. David, what kind of folks out there typically purchase a Bunky at this point?
Usually it's families that want extra space. Their family's getting bigger, but their house or their lake house isn't getting any bigger. And so it's a bridge for them to be able to host every single person together for that vacation or that getaway or that weekend. They want to have everyone together. Or if it's people that just need, maybe a she shed or an office space in the backyard, it's a great solution for that. And the cool thing about our kits is you can build it yourself. So you don't need to worry about a contractor or a permit in most cases.
Brother, I really do appreciate you carving out time for us. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk to you next week.
Appreciate your time, Clay. Thanks so much.
Take care. Bye.
Okay.
Thrive Nation, years ago, I had a young lady in my office by the name of Kat, and Kat was a graphic designer, and I was working with a client that was training dogs. So if you can picture this, folks, I'm working with a company that's training dogs, and I have an employee by the name of Kat, and Kat asked me, she said, Clay, with this Tip Top Canine business that you're helping to grow and franchise, I'm seeing the growth. I might be interested in opening a Tip Top Canine franchise. And that's kind of how that conversation went, is how I can remember. But I wanted to interview the man married to the cat, Adam Stockdahl. Welcome on to the Thrive Time Show. How are you, sir?
Oh, doing great, Clay. Always good to talk to you.
Hey, so can you kind of tell the story of how you first heard about a Tip Top Canine franchise opportunity?
Yeah, that was about 5-6 years ago. My wife, Kat, talked me into getting a cute little puppy, and that cute little puppy decided to use me as a chew toy. So at the same time, she was working on some marketing materials for Tip Top Canine, the original location in Tulsa. And it wasn't too long after that we hired them to train our own dog. And when Ryan was over, I was very impressed with the services, the company in general. And I actually said to him, and he can verify this, at the consultation, I said, I think I'm in the wrong business. So 6-7 months later, when I heard through you that they were looking to expand through the franchise model, it wasn't too hard of a decision for me to say, sign me up.
Now, you own the Tip Top Canine franchise. What are the territories that you own at this point, the cities or the territories that you guys have rights to?
Yeah, so we have 4 main service areas, all within the Dallas-Fort Worth area. First one that we opened up about 5 years ago was the South Lake location, South Lake, Texas. Just for out-of-towners, that is between Dallas and Fort Worth. So you got Fort Worth on the west, you got Dallas on the east. So South Lake is to the north, even though it says south, north of Dallas and Fort Worth in the middle.
And before becoming a Tip Top Canine franchise owner, you were in the mortgage business. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And so my understanding is after, I know you guys asked me a lot of questions about it. I know your wife asked me a lot of questions about it. You guys met with Ryan and Rachel and you decided to move forward. Could you kind of explain what those 6 weeks of hands-on training was like? Because for somebody out there listening right now that's maybe thinking about buying a Tip Top Canine franchise, and they should know, what that experience was like. What were those first 6 weeks of hands-on dog training like?
Yeah, Clay. So Tip Top Canine has a training service that they call Doggy Boot Camp, where they take your dog and train them intensively for several weeks. And then they come back different and better dog. I'd say it's the exact same way, the same process the franchisees go through. It's definitely a boot camp. It is morning to night. It is 6 days a week for about 6 weeks. But by the end of that, you're going to be very comfortable with the training process, and you're going to feel like you are well equipped to go out and start training dogs on your own.
So you did this, and Rachel and Ryan, I mean, I feel like they do a great job training people on how to train dogs, and Ryan does a really good job teaching the sales aspect of it, and you do a great job because you come from a sales background. So you're down there in Texas now, and for somebody out there that's thinking about owning a Tip Top, once you know how to train a dog, and you've paid all the money up front to auto wrap your car and to go to the 6 weeks of training, now you're down in Texas, you're running the business. And I really wanted to identify what you believe to be the maybe the 3 or 4 biggest drivers of the growth, because my understanding, I could be wrong, but I think your official title this year is you were the franchise of the year, both this year and last year. Is that accurate?
Out of the years they've been doing the franchise of the year award, we won half of them.
Okay.
So we got this past year, then the year before that.
Okay. So you were this year's franchise of the year. What do you believe to be like the 4 things that you have to do on a weekly basis beyond training dogs that allows your location to not only survive, but to thrive?
Yeah. So number one, it just the most important underlying theme in all this is going to be consistency. So the thing that I really loved about the Tip Top Canine model is that you do not have to arrange your own calendar. We have a scheduling center that's going to call and book leads for you and set up your schedule every day. And really half the battle, especially when you're starting out, is just showing up. The dog training world is not on average a super sophisticated crowd. So if you just show up to your appointment, you're already in the top 20% of the dog training world. So showing up, being consistent, being on time, being where you say you're going to be, when you say you're going to be there, that would be the first thing. Second of all is being able to effectively train people. It's one thing, it's a very physically challenging business. You're only going to be able to do so much on your own. You're going to have to hire people. And the faster you train those people, the faster you're going to be able to grow. So 1, be consistent, lead by example, do what you say you're going to do. 2 is train people. 3 is assisting the office with lead generation. There's a lot being taken care of on the back end. We're doing a lot. Clay's team is doing a lot of search engine optimization. The team is booking incoming calls. How you're going to help with that is by going around to places that can refer you dog training, and just once again being consistent with those relationships. So that looks like veterinarians, for example. You're going into veterinarians' offices, you're saying hi, you're doing that for a couple weeks in a row. Then you're asking to sit down with the vet, talk to them about the training, and then you're going to start getting referrals. In just the past week in one of our locations, we got 4 vet referrals. And that's just in one of our 4 locations. So that's a big driver of business. And then, just putting in the time. When you're starting out, it is a pretty grueling schedule. It's 7 a.m. to 9 p.m., 7 days a week. And if you don't have somebody to help you work in those hours, then those are the hours you're working. So it's by no means easy money, but if you do it right and you approach it with the right mindset, it can be very good money.
Now, what would happen if you stopped doing the group interview every week? And on part 2 of today's show, we're going to talk about the group interview process. What would happen if you stopped doing the weekly group interview?
Yeah, so if we stopped doing the weekly group interview, we would be totally fine for about 2 months. And then we would start having natural turnover. Maybe somebody was good, maybe they're not good anymore. And then if you don't have somebody to replace them, then now you are having to do their job. And if you're doing their job, nobody's doing your job, which is training people. So you're going to find yourself trying to do 2 jobs, and then somebody else is going to drop if you're doing 3 jobs, and you're just not going to be able to find good people to come in. If you're not doing the group interview, you're going to hire somebody out of desperation. It's going to be the wrong person, and you're just going to exacerbate that turnover problem.
Now, what if you stopped getting Google reviews from your happy customers? I mean, you guys are very consistent at gathering objective reviews from happy customers. What would happen if you stopped getting Google reviews?
Yeah, so there's a very specific type of person that's going to leave a Google review without asking. And those typically are not the people you want leaving Google reviews. So that is what you're going to get by default. So that is gravity. That is pulling you down. Okay. What you need are the rocket boosters of intentionally gathering reviews from your real and happy customers in order to launch you into orbit.
Now, the next is video reviews. You guys do a great job gathering video reviews from your happy customers. And what I've heard from many of the franchisees, because I talk to many of you every week, is that potential buyers will come to you already convinced that Tip Top Canine is the right choice if they've read enough reviews and watched the video reviews. What impact does video reviews play in the business itself?
Yeah, so video reviews just puts a face to the name. You know, we have hundreds and hundreds. I think between our locations, we have over 1,000 5-star Google reviews, and I still get people at a consultation be like, "Yeah, but do you have any references?" Right? It's one thing to see a name with a review next to it. It's another name to see the face of somebody talking at you. So the video reviews, it gives you more of that personal feel as somebody's story. You get to see that they're a real person with a real dog that's really trained.
Now, the Dream 100, again, this is where you make a list of your ideal and likely referral sources, dog groomers, veterinarians. What would happen if you never visited the Dream 100 list by default? What would happen?
Yeah, sure. There's a lot of people that are going to find you online on Google. If you get all your reviews and you have good search engine optimization, you're going to dominate the search results. There is a significant portion of your market that just isn't relying on Google for this type of thing. So people really love their dogs. It's a very emotional topic. So with emotional topics, people are talking to their friends, other people they trust. Veterinarians are a big source of trust. So if you are not getting those veterinarian groomer referrals, you're not aligning yourself with these authorities in the space, then those people are just never going to hear about you because it doesn't even occur to them to go online and search about this because they're going to ask their vet who to go through.
Now, both you and I are very efficient individuals, so we typically, when we hop on a weekly coaching call, I mean, if it needs to be longer, it's longer, but it's usually like a touch point, like a 10-minute, like let's make sure things are not drifting. How important is it to have somebody like Andrew who's following up every week just to make sure that, you know, videos get uploaded, that the ads are running? How important is that weekly call to keep things running?
Yeah, I mean, there's really no substitute for it. I mean, you check on things you care about, right? And I care about the business, so that's just our time to really make sure we're being accountable for our portion of things. Accountability is a huge part of this because yeah, it's easy to just get busy and let these things drift over time.
Now, I have worked in the franchise space quite a bit outside of Tip Top Canine. I've worked with brands like OxyFresh or EXP Realty. I've worked with UPS franchises. I've worked with just a lot of them. And what I find is a lot of times there are certain franchise programs that have like a quarterly coaching call. So like you basically talk to your coach once a quarter or once a month. Why do you believe it's an important thing for the culture to have kind of a weekly touch point as opposed to a quarterly or monthly touch point?
Yeah, so I am involved in several businesses, and every business I'm involved in, there is a weekly call because I would not be involved in a business that did not have a weekly touch point. Especially during the startup phase, it's vital because if you're doing something wrong, you're going to be able to catch it early and correct it,
You know,
right? So go ahead.
yeah, you seriously do be like if it's weekly, you can catch it early and correct. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, yeah. If you're going off course, it's better to go off course a little bit than a lot.
Now, the other thing I wanted to bring up is I knew your wife very well because she worked in the office, and she knew me because she worked on my payroll. You know, so we had that a friendship there, and also that camaraderie. You were kind of the wild card. I didn't quite know about you, but your wife was like, "No, he's a great guy." And so, but when you're looking into, you know, when we're working in my case, I'm looking into selling a franchise to you. I don't want to sell a franchise to somebody that won't put in the work. And on your case, as a buyer, you don't want to buy a franchise system that won't work, you know? So what were some of the decision points that you went through to decide whether buying a Tip Top Canine was right for you?
One thing I definitely wanted, really one of the huge driving factors of the decision for me was the scheduling center at Tip Top Canine. So with me coming from mortgage industry, I was the front line. Somebody had questions, somebody needed to talk to somebody. That was me they were talking to. And it made it difficult to focus on my work because I was just fielding calls all day. With Tip Top Canine, you do have a scheduling center there for you. They're talking to customers, they're collecting payments, they're doing a lot of the day-to-day administrative stuff that would really just take hours out of your day and bog you down. So the fact that we had that at our disposal, already included in the franchise fee, was just absolutely massive.
So, and just kind of recap, and I want to make sure the listeners out there get this if they're thinking about buying a Tip Top Canine. The key drivers to success is, one, you're saying you wouldn't be involved in an organization if it didn't have a weekly call for accountability. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Second is you really, the call center was a big appeal for you. Is that correct? I mean, we wanted to have a call center that handles a lot of that admin.
Oh, huge. Yeah.
Okay.
100%.
3, you got the group interview. 4, you got the Google reviews. 5, you got the video reviews. 6, you got that Dream 100 marketing. And then 7, our team runs the online ads for you to make sure that they're never off and to make sure the retargeting ads are happening. And we're also writing search engine content for you behind the scenes. How valuable is it to do that as opposed to you having to write search engine content every day?
Oh, it would be impossible. It wouldn't get done. I can just tell you, like, there's no world in which myself or really any other franchisee trying to run this kind of business would be able to do that.
And then Andrew is not here, so we can say something nice about him, and we'll see if he watches this show. We'll find out. But Andrew has been on my team for years. I know he loves serving you guys, but how would you describe what it's like to have a person, like a point person like Andrew, to kind of help you with the account if there's a burning fire?
Yeah, so it's really nice to know that you have somebody that's on your team and is knowledgeable enough. He's seen it before, right? So if you come on, you buy a Tip Top Canine franchise, you're not the first one. The problems, any issues you run into, you're not going to be the first one having these issues. Andrew's seen it before, and he's been able to help other locations through it before. So just having that experience on your side is huge. It just gives you a little bit of peace of mind.
Now, we do have a lot of listeners that are in the Texas area. So, again, what are the cities you cover? If anybody out there is listening has a dog they want to have you guys train?
Yeah, for sure. Pretty much anywhere on the north side of Dallas, Fort Worth. So we've got all of Fort Worth. We've got South Lake, which is kind of between Dallas and Fort Worth. Then we got McKinney and Frisco, which are on the north side of Dallas.
Adam, I really do appreciate you. You've been a great friend, and it's wonderful to see you and your wife thriving. Congratulations again on winning the Franchise of the Year again, and I appreciate your diligence. It's fun to work with you, sir. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, thanks, Clay. I'll see you.
Take care. Bye.
Wow. Okay, see?
And
see
the good folks at Tip Top Canine kind of helped mentor you into your dog training skill set. Am I correct? Is that right?
Yeah. That's right. No, I had all the full training with Rhodey, and he would have eaten you, Clay, if you were here in person. He would have just ripped an arm off. You got to be careful.
Okay, now we're going to move into the heavier stuff here. Now that we've covered that, I suppose, but I want to make sure from an animal cruelty perspective, you weren't using a part of a dog as a windscreen. One thing, it's super self-serving because I have partnered with the brand and have worked with the brand for a long time. Mike, I just wanted to ask you here. Feel free to punt if you want, but the good folks at Tip Top Canine, why I like them is they're providing opportunities for people that don't want to take the jab. So if you have a job, but you don't want to take the jab, I think that's going to be an increasingly difficult thing to find. And so if you're looking for a career that doesn't require the taking of the COVID-19 shots, the good folks at Tip Top Canine, they have a 6-week training program where in 6 weeks, you can learn how to open your own Tip Top Canine franchise. There's approaching 20 locations all over the country. Mike, you've worked with the Tip Top folks. Has your dog eaten you yet? Are you happy with the service? How's it been going so far?
Tip Top Canine is just amazing. I mean, really interacting with those folks and getting this dog changed my life. I mean, that's not an exaggeration. And I just want to put this offer out there to anybody listening who wants to consider opening a Tip Top Canine franchise. Once you open a franchise, I will announce it for free. I'll publicize it on my podcast, because what I learned from these guys, it's so life-changing. Even I'm training my other dogs, Clay. Now that I learned, let me back up. So Tip Top Canine people trained me, first of all, on how to train dogs, including this military dog I have here. And then I took that knowledge, and now I'm training my other dogs who I thought were uncontrollable. And now, guess what? They come when I call them. It's amazing using the training techniques. Even a guy like me, who's not a professional dog trainer, even I'm competent at training my own dogs now. But this is a great opportunity in any city in America that's available for the franchises, people want to bring their dogs and have them trained because more people are working at home. More lockdowns are probably coming, God forbid, but people need to be able to get along with their pets. And Tip Top Canine really is effective at making that happen. That's just my testimonial right there. Feel free to use it.
Mike Adams, thank you so much for carving out time. I really do appreciate you very much. Your studio is looking great there, sir. I know it's been a long time coming. You've been one of the first truth-telling voices in the movement, one of the most heavily censored people in America. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate you for investing in lighting and sound that makes you look better.
Well, see, we're giving you our wide shot here right now. This is the wide shot of the studio. Yeah,
you look great.
Just to show you, it's real. It's not a green screen. No, we actually built it. So
it looks great, Mike.
It's coming along. It's coming along, and yours has always looked awesome. But we finally upgraded to Clay's level of studio.
Mike, seriously, and I say this: any of the events that you've ever wanted, if we ever do a Reawaken America tour, the door's always open for you. I appreciate all the work you do behind the scenes, keeping people focused on exposing the truth. You really are a leader in the truth movement. I appreciate that, sir. And I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Well, thank you, Clay. We're working at it. And again, keep me posted. If anybody joins the Tip Top Canine franchise, we want to announce it and help get all these dogs under control all across America so they don't, eat our microphones and things like that.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate it. Take care.
Right. Thank you, Clay.
Bye.
All right. Bye.
Hey, I'm Ryan Wimpy with Tip Top Canine, and I'm the founder.
I'm Rachel Wimpy, and I am a co-founder.
So we've been running Tip Top for about the last 14 years, franchising for the last 3-4 years. So someone that'd be a good fit for Tip Top loves dogs, they're high energy, they want to be able to own their own job, but they don't want to worry about, that high failure rate. They want to do that like bowling with bumper lanes.
So you give us a call, reach out to us, we'll call you, and then we'll send you an FDD, look over that, read it, fall asleep to it, it's very boring, and then we'll book a discovery day, and you come and you spend a day or two with us, make sure that you actually like it, make sure training dogs is something that you want to do.
So an FDD is a franchise disclosure document. It's a federally regulated document that goes into all the nitty-gritty details of what the franchise agreement entails.
So who would be a good fit to buy a Tip Top Canine would be somebody who loves dogs, who wants to work with dogs all day as their profession. You'll make a lot of money, you'll have a lot of fun, it's very rewarding. And who would not be a good fit is a cat person.
So the upfront cost for Tip Top is $43,000. And a lot of people say they're generating doctor money, but on our disclosure, the numbers are anywhere from over $1 million a year in dog training, what our Oklahoma City location did last year, to 25, 35 grand a month.
To train and get trained by us for Tip Top Canine, to run your own Tip Top Canine, you would be with us for 6 weeks here in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
So we've been married for 7 years.
8 years.
8 years. So if you're watching this video, you're like, hey, maybe I want to be a dog trainer. Hey, that one sounds super amazing. Go to our website, tiptopcanine.com, click on the yellow franchising tab, fill out the form, and Rachel and I will give you a call. Our Oklahoma City location last year, they did over $1 million. He's been running that shop for 3 years. Before, he was a youth pastor with 0 sales experience, 0 dog training experience before he ever met with us.
So just call us, come spend a day with us, spend a couple days with us, make sure you like training dogs, and own your own business.
Well, the biggest reason to buy a Tip Top Canine is so you own your own job and you own your own future, and you don't hate your life. You get an enjoyable job that brings a lot of income, but is really rewarding.
Hello, my name is Charles Kolaw with Kolaw Fitness. Today I want to tell you a little bit about Clay Clark and how I know Clay Clark. Clay Clark has been my business coach since 2017. He's helped us grow from 2 locations to now 6 locations. We're planning to do 7 locations in 7 years and then franchise. And Clay has done a great job of helping us navigate anything that has to do with like running the business, building the systems, the checklists, the workflows, the audits, how to navigate lease agreements, how to buy property, how to work with brokers and builders. This guy is just amazing. He's this kind of guy has worked in every single industry. He's written books with like Lee Crockrell, head of Disney, with the 40,000 cast members. He's friends with like Mike Lindell. He does Reawaken America tours, where he does these tours all across the country, where 10,000 or more people show up to some of these tours. On the day-to-day, he does anywhere from about 160 companies. He's at the top. He has a team of business coaches, videographers, and graphic designers and web developers, and they run 160 companies every single week. So think of this guy with a team of business coaches running 160 companies. So in the weekly, he's running 160 companies. Every 6 to 8 weeks, he's doing Reawaken America tours. Every 6 to 8 weeks, he's also doing business conferences where 200 people show up, and he teaches people a 13-step proven system that he's done and worked with billionaires, helping them grow their companies. So I've seen guys from startups go from startup to being multimillionaires, teaching people how to get time freedom and financial freedom through the system. Critical thinking, document creation, putting it into organizing everything in their head to building it into a franchisable, scalable business. Like one of his businesses has like 500 franchises. That's just one of the companies or brands that he works with. So amazing guy. Elon Musk, kind of like smart guy. He kind of comes off sometimes as socially awkward, but he's so brilliant, and he's taught me so much. When I say that, like Clay is like, he doesn't care what people think when you're talking to him. He cares about where you're going in your life and where he can get you to go. And that's what I like most about him. He's like a good coach. A coach isn't just making you feel good all the time. A coach is actually helping you get to the best you. And Clay has been an amazing business coach. Through the course of that, we became friends. I was really most impressed with him is when I was shadowing him one time. We went into a business deal and listened to it. I got to shadow and listen to it. And when we walked out, I knew that he could make millions on the deal. And they were super excited about working with him. And he told me, he's like, I'm not going to touch it. I'm going to turn it down, because he knew it was going to harm the common good of people in the long run. And the guy's integrity just really wowed me. It brought tears to my eyes to see that this guy, his highest desire was to do what's right. And anyways, just an amazing man. So anyways, impacted me a lot. He's helped navigate anytime I've got nervous or worried about how to run the company, or navigating competition and an economy that's like, I remember we got closed down for 3 months. He helped us navigate on how to stay open, how to get back open, how to just survive through all the COVID shutdowns, lockdowns, because our clubs were all closed for 3 months, and you have $350,000 of bills you've got to pay, and we have no accounts receivable. He helped us navigate that, and of course we were conservative enough that we could afford to take that on for a period of time. But it was, anyways, great man. I'm very impressed with him. So Clay, thank you for everything you're doing, and I encourage you, if you haven't ever worked with Clay, work with Clay. He's going to help magnify you, and there's nobody I have ever met that has the ability to work as hard as he does. He probably sleeps 4, maybe 6 hours a day, and literally the rest of the time he's working, and he can outwork everybody in the room every single day, and he loves it. So anyways, this is Charles Kola with Kola Fitness. Thank you, Clay, and anybody out there that's wanting to work with Clay, it's a great opportunity to ever work with him. So you guys have a blessed one. This is Charles Kola. We'll see you guys. Bye-bye.
Hi, I'm Aaron Antis with Shaw Homes. I first heard about Clay through a mortgage lender here in town who had told me what a great job he had been doing for them, and I actually noticed he was driving a Lamborghini all of a sudden, so I was willing to listen. In my career, I've sold a little over $800 million in real estate. So honestly, I thought I kind of knew everything about marketing and homes. And then I met Clay, and my perception of what I knew and what I could do definitely changed. After doing $800 million in sales over a 15-year career, I really thought I knew what I was doing. I've been managing a large team of salespeople for the last 10 years here with Shaw Homes. And I mean, we've been a company that's been in business for 35 years. We've become one of the largest builders in the Tulsa area, and that was without Clay. So when I came to know Clay, I really thought, man, there's not much more I need to know, but I'm willing to listen. The interesting thing is our internet leads from our website has actually, in a 4-month period of time, has gone from somewhere around 10 to 15 leads in a month to 180 internet leads in a month. Just from the few things that he's shown us how to implement that I honestly probably never would have come up with on my own. So I got a lot of good things to say about the system that Clay put in place with us, and it's just been an incredible experience. I am very glad that we met and had the opportunity to work with Clay. So the interaction with the team and with Clay on a weekly basis is honestly very enlightening. One of the things that I love about Clay's perspective on things is that he doesn't come from my industry. He's not somebody who's in the home building industry. I've listened to all the experts in my field. Our company has paid for me to go to seminars, international builders shows, all kinds of places where I've had the opportunity to learn from the experts in my industry. But the thing that I found working with Clay is that he comes from such a broad spectrum of working with so many different types of businesses that he has a perspective that's difficult for me to gain because I get so entrenched in what I do, I'm not paying attention to what other leading industry experts are doing. And Clay really brings that perspective for me. It is very valuable time every week when I get that hour with him. From my perspective, the reason that any business owner who's thinking about hooking up with Thrive needs to definitely consider it is because the results that we've gotten in a very short period of time are honestly monumental. It has really exceeded my wildest expectation of what he might be able to do. I came in skeptical because I'm very pragmatic, and as I've gone through the process over just a few months, I've realized it's probably one of the best moves we've ever made. I think a lot of people probably feel like they don't need a business or marketing consultant because they maybe are a little bit prideful and like to think they know everything. I know that's how I felt coming in. I mean, we're a big company that's definitely one of the largest in town. And so we kind of felt like we knew what we were doing. And I think for a lot of people, they let their ego get in the way of listening to somebody that might have a better or different perspective than theirs. I would just really encourage you, if you're thinking about working with Clay, I mean, the thing is, it's month to month. Go give it a try and see what happens. I think in the 35-year history of Shaw Homes, this is probably the best thing that's happened to us. And I know if you give them a shot, I think you'll feel the same way. I know for me, the thing I would have missed out on if I didn't work with Clay is I would have missed out on literally an 1,800% increase in our internet leads. Going from 10 a month to 180 a month, that would have been a huge financial decision to just decide not to give it a shot. I would absolutely recommend Clay Clark to anybody who's thinking about working with somebody in marketing. I would skip over anybody else you were thinking about, and I would go straight to Clay and his team. I guarantee you're not going to regret it because we sure haven't.
My name is Danielle Sprick, and I am the founder of D Sprick Realty Group here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. After being a stay-at-home mom for 12 years and my 3 kids started school and they were in school full-time, I was at a crossroads and trying to decide what do I want to do? My degree and my background is in education, but after being a mom and staying home and all of that, I just didn't have a passion for it like I once did. My husband suggested real estate. He's a home builder, so real estate and home building go hand in hand, and we just rolled with it. I love people, I love working with people, I love the building relationships, but one thing that was really difficult for me was the business side of things. The processes and the advertising and marketing. I knew that I did not have what I needed to make that what it should be. So I reached out to Clay at that time, and he and his team have been extremely instrumental in helping us build our brand, help market our business, our agents, the homes that we represent. Everything that we do is a direct line from Clay and his team and all that they've done for us. We launched our brokerage, our real estate brokerage, 8 months ago. And in that time, we've gone from myself and one other agent to just this week, we signed on our 16th agent. We have been blessed with the fact that we right now have just over 10 million in pending transactions. 3 years ago, I never would have even imagined that I would be in this role that I'm in today, building a business, having 16 agents. But I have to give credit where credit's due, and Clay and his team and the business coaching that they've offered us has been huge. It's been instrumental in what we're doing. Don't ever limit your vision. When you dream big, big things happen.
I started a business because I couldn't work for anyone else. I do things my way. I do what I think is in the best interest of the patient. I don't answer to insurance companies. I don't answer to large corporate organizations. I answer to my patient, and that's it. My thought when I opened my clinic was I can do this all myself. I don't need additional outside help in many ways. I went to medical school. I can figure this out. But it was a very, very steep learning curve. Within the first 6 months of opening my clinic, I had a $63,000 embezzlement. I lost multiple employees. Clay helped us weather the storm of some of the things that are just a lot of people experience, especially in the medical world. He was instrumental in helping with the specific written business plan. He's been instrumental in hiring good quality employees, using the processes that he outlines for getting in good talent, which is extremely difficult. He helped me in securing the business loans. He helped me with web development and search engine optimization. We've been able to really keep a steady stream of clients coming in because they found us on the web. With everything that I encountered, everything that I experienced, I quickly learned it is worth every penny to have someone in your team that can walk you through and even avoid some of the pitfalls that are almost invariable in starting your own business. I'm Dr. Chad Edwards, and I own Revolution Health and Wellness Clinic.
The Thrive Time Show, 2-day interactive business workshops, are the highest and most reviewed business workshops on the planet.
You can learn the proven 13-point business systems that Dr. Zellner and I have used over and over to start and grow successful companies. I mean, we get into the specific steps on what you need to do to optimize your website. We're going to teach you how to fix your conversion rate. We're going to teach you how to do a social media marketing campaign that works. How do you raise capital? How do you get a small business loan? We teach you everything you need to know here during a 2-day, 15-hour workshop. It's all here for you. You work every day in your business, but for 2 days you can escape and work on your business and build these proven systems so now you can have a successful company that will produce both the time freedom and the financial freedom that you deserve. You're going to leave energized, motivated, but you're also going to leave empowered. The reason why I've built these workshops is because as an entrepreneur, I always wish that I had this. And because there wasn't anything like this, I would go to these motivational seminars, no money down, real estate, Ponzi scheme, get motivated seminars, and they would never teach me anything. It was like you went there and you paid for the big chocolate Easter bunny, but inside of it, it was a hollow nothingness. And I wanted the knowledge, and they're like, oh, but we'll teach you the knowledge after our next workshop. And the great thing is we have nothing to upsell. At every workshop, we teach you what you need to know. There's no one in the back of the room trying to sell you some next big get-rich-quick, walk-on-hot coals product. It's literally, we teach you the brass tacks, the specific stuff that you need to know to learn how to start and grow a business. And I encourage you to not believe what I'm saying, and I want you to Google the Z66 auto auction. I want you to Google elephant in the room. Look at Robert Zellner and Associates. Look them up and say, are they successful because they're geniuses, or are they successful because they have a proven system? When you do that research, you will discover that the same systems that we use in our own business can be used in your business. Come to Tulsa, book a ticket, and I guarantee you it's going to be the best business workshop ever, and we'll even give you your money back if you don't love it. We've built this facility for you, and we're excited to see you.